welcome back to Stasis, Geek. So I finally finished The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. Yeah. And what do I think? My full fault. So this will have spoilers. Now, I'm surprised it was only 6 episodes. It could have been a hell of a lot longer. Now, for a zombie TV series, it's quite good. It's got fun moments. It kind of draws on what's already there from The Walking Dead. But this is obviously a couple of issues. One, there's a plot, there was a story out there. Yeah, let's do it in France, then we can have all the European sections and we can move maybe to country. Being interesting. This, being Daryl Dixon, is obviously somebody in higher up production said, love the story, but we need somebody from The Walking Dead or nobody's going to buy into it. Because this didn't have to be in the English language or have Daryl Dixon in it. Because those two things are irrelevant to the story. And they fit in this plot to get Daryl over to France and then not explain it in full. And it is what they try to explain is a bit dumb. It spoils the show. You have to overlook it because the play on the different zombie types and what they're interacting with, the kind of gangs of Paris, I suppose you want to call it, is quite good. So the underlying plot is really good. But the Daryl Dixon plot is dumb. Now, because what they do is Daryl is, I think he's supposed to be in New Hampshire. I'm not too sure. Can't remember anyway. But he gets in with a gang of guys, the only way you can explain it, who are capturing zombies, putting them on a truck, and then the truck goes off. Yeah? And then what happens is, the rules are you can't fight when you're there. So Daryl, of course, hits somebody, and this guy he hit, who he thinks killed somebody else, gets taken off. No do's, don'ts, just, get out. You're not having the money, the fuel or whatever. You're just off. Then they turn up to a tanker. Yeah, a tanker ship. That's the best way to call it. What has departments in of zombies. So, bear with me because it doesn't make sense. So, they have starving zombies and feeder zombies. You can see zombies being kind of worked on, experiments are happening. Okay, so you would go, oh, they can find all these zombies for some reason. There might be, like, they're thinking there may be a cure or something's going on. Yeah? But then, why has this ship gone to France? That's a lot of fuel to burn. So what's wrong with the zombies in Europe that you need zombies from North America? Okay, don't understand. The next bit is I believe they are taking the, I suppose, prisoners, I suppose you're going to call them. There's like 5 of them. Daryl's one of them. And then feeding them to this pit of zombies. So let's say, okay, maximum, you're going to take 3 days, yeah? And it gets down to the 2 of them, yeah? So 5, I think it is, down to 2. And then Daryl fakes something to, I'm injured, Jow, you might turn. And then they go to feed him. So let's go in for, it's a week. On a really slow ship that is now travelling to France. But why? We don't know. Then explosions happen, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, at the beginning of the series, Daryl turns up on a ding, like I suppose, like a mini escape vessel. Yeah. But why is that ship ever needed to come to France? Because plot indicates from a production point of view that we needed Daryl Dixon. There is no other reason this show needs this. Because Daryl Dixon, even though he's an interesting character, is pointless to the plot. Because the plot would have carried out exactly the same. They just needed to have another person. So I would think this would have been more interesting if it was in the French language. Then they could have got to a situation what they do at the end is when he's about to cross the channel and go over to England. You're like, oh. So they're going now. We expect the ending is Daryl in, going to go in the shores of England, and I'm guessing he's going to go across Great Britain. I'm guessing so. Now, my thing is wouldn't the Isles of England, you take out the Channel Tunnel, it's going to be one of the safest places. Because if they can take out all the zombies, you're on an island. You know, you got the Faroe Islands, Iceland are going to be quite good. You know, all the little Scottish islands like Shetlands and all that are going to be quite good if you can eradicate them. Yeah, because they're not going to go over like they do in the Americas, country to country, go across borders. And in Europe, it's going to be more problematic. Now, there are issues with this because it's in Europe. Now, they have a lot of weaponry. Yeah? Okay. But if you wanted a zombie apocalypse, you would want to be near one of the lakes in North America because there's going to be a lot of weapons. You're going to be a lot of armory. You're going to probably, get a few ammunition boxes out there somewhere. But in Europe, you're not going to have that much unless you got into a military base and actually took it out. Because the rules are different. So it doesn't make sense that everybody has a rifle of some kind. Yeah? The other problem is, this is supposed to be in the same timeline as The Walking Dead. Yeah? So let's say 10 years, from the start of The Walking Dead, 12 years, whatever it's gone. 15 might be now. Yeah? Let's go for 10. Let's be nice. But they've still got resources. And I mean resources that need to be refined. Like oil. Electric. Who's doing this in Europe that they can't do in North America? So it's a bit odd. This literally, your brain goes, not getting that. But then, of course, with the ship, who's going to burn that much fuel to get zombies from North America that they couldn't get from Europe? And then you have to go by, hold it, if what we've seen in North America, The Walking Dead, is when they go to a major city, you don't want to, you're literally going to last like 10 minutes max if you're running, yeah? And you're going to be eaten because it's literally swarming with hordes upon hordes. But this, they go through Paris, and it's quite safe. So I don't get what's going on. So it's good for a zombie. It's bad because of the underlying plot that they associated it so heavy with North America, The Walking Dead. So I don't get it. It's kind of interesting. Now, this was well received, and I can understand that because Daryl's an interesting character. Yeah? It doesn't make sense why he's there, but the show is actually quite interesting. They play on this plot of this young kid who was born as his mother turned. Yeah? So he shouldn't have survived, but he did. And they make him like, let's be honest, he's like the coming of Jesus in this. Yeah? Okay, play on that. But they don't play on it that well with Daryl. They just play it on he's like the father figure to him. Okay. But then at the end, when episode 6, Daryl is going to go to England and the kid turns up on the shores. And you're like, well, how did you get there? And okay, they're making out the zombies don't attack him. Yeah, I'm guessing because he's got, I don't know, some kind of smell because he was born from the dead. Don't explain it. Don't really interact with it. Okay, you can take that things. But then they do something a bit dumb. And it's playing on what Daryl tried to do when he was with the gang in New Hampshire. Is he got on the radio and we think he's talking to Carol. It sounds like Carol. He doesn't really say it, but he's trying to go, well, what's going on there? How is everybody? And then you're like, well, why are you there if you're caring about that? You've not just gone, I've had enough, I'm off. And then they give a little snippet of what's going to come in the next show, whatever it's called, is Those Who Survived with Rick. It's because he's back. And you, ooh. Yeah, and it cuts off. Then, at the end of the series, of the season, is they go back to a guy on Daryl's bike, car chasing. Yeah? And it's Carol. Because Carol's gone to look for Daryl. But why? Because Daryl's gone. And he's one of these people who's like, I'll be back. Yeah? So, and he even says it on the radio. You know, I'm doing this, I'll be back soon. So she got like, well, it's going to be 8 weeks, let's say. Well, then she would have to leave straight away, even if he's that. So the timelines don't make sense. Now, the only way I could think they've done this is because now Carol will have to get on a ship. So now remember the ship got destroyed. Yep. So now she would have to get on another ship to come over to Europe without having the knowledge that he's there. But if he was, how would she get that? Now, the play on this, it would be interesting if they island jumped. So Daryl goes through Great Britain on the Isles. Then the next bit is Faroes. Then Iceland. Then to Greenland. And he did that kind of old trek. You know, I suppose like the old Viking trek. It would be quite interesting. But there's no, promise to that. So it's a bit odd. Because he's been told he can easily get a ship to Newfoundland. Why are we going to Newfoundland? Why are ships going from, I'm guessing, Scotland or the Outer Hebrides, going to Newfoundland? So it's a bit odd. It is a bit odd. So these ties in don't work. But if you can just sit back and relax it and watch it for the zombie bits, it's good. Just forget about the Daryl plot. Because the Daryl plot at the moment isn't making sense. So it's weird. If you just went zombie and the French plot, this is a good 8. It's got some silly bits in it, but it's an 8 because it's zombies. But because of the Daryl bits, it drops it down because that doesn't make sense. So that's like a 6. So I'm going to give this like a 7 because you're interested in it. It was a letdown because it was only 6 episodes. And I think the Carol bits there was like an afterthought. If it does well, it's received, we can just shoot this. Or we'll pre-shoot it and then we'll add it right at the end. So there's a moment. Otherwise, it would have just faded out with Daryl on the sea banks. You know, it makes sense. But I'm guessing we're going to have 1 or 2 things for season 2. Daryl goes to England with the kid, or Daryl stays with the kid in France and never goes back. But then the Carol bit doesn't make sense. So it's, yeah, I just don't get what's going to happen. But it's interesting. It's good if you like The Walking Dead. Yeah, it's probably best that you don't know about The Walking Dead and watch it on its own because, yeah, but then you get confused about The Walking Dead because it's just a bit of a mess. But we'll see. But yeah, it's worth a watch. It's just a bit confusing in parts because I don't think they knew where they wanted to settle with the story. But it opens up that we could have The Walking Dead, I don't know, Japan or something. That would be cool. But we'll see. Yeah, they're my thoughts. Give us a comment if you've seen it, if you loved it or you hated it. And give us a like if you want to like. As always, Stasis Geek out.